So this week's chapter of My Hero is continuing on with the trend of giving Ochako her big moments in the story and having her be a voice for not only Deku but just the heroes in general, and trying to basically sway the public to have them realize that all of the heroes are doing their best to not only protect them but protect themselves also. We start off this chapter though with Class 1A talking to Principal Nezu about a bunch of the different things that are going on right now. The most prevalent of which being how they will house Deku safely, and if this will be enough to sway the civilians into believing that they'll still be safe with Deku there. And we get Principal Nezu talking about how the school now houses the most advanced defense technology in the entire nation. Not even just there, like the entire nation, they have the best defenses. He compares the school's defenses to the defenses of Tartarus, which gets a reaction out of Momo in which she says, but Tartarus was easily destroyed by Shigaraki, which is very true. And she also brings up an incident from last year where Shigaraki also tried to break into the UA campus. So, for obvious reasons, she does feel like, are the defenses actually enough right now? We then get into the portion of the chapter where Nezu basically goes on to talk about the different defense capabilities of the UA campus now, and one of them is that UA can actually move now by using different sort of motors and engines. It can actually move independently, and basically the entire campus is split into different sections that can all move independently from one another depending on the situation that's happening, which is very cool, and that would really help in making sure that everybody's safe, since if this section is under attack, this one can actually move away from these ones, or they can isolate it to where they can fight there and not get everybody else on the other sections caught in the crossfire. So this is honestly pretty cool that Nezu was even able to accomplish this at the school. He also mentions that if need be, in the event of an incident, that the campus can actually go underground completely. And then he talks about how underground or above the campus there'd be over 3,000 steel plates that each individually can also move on their own, which is very insane. And this would basically keep out Shigaraki a lot, because if he wants to decay them, he'd have to go through 3,000 individually moving steel plates just to get to the campus, which really does boast like a very high defense capability. And this is honestly pretty crazy that Nezu even came up with all of this on his own. Not even just that, but now the different campuses such as Shiketsu are also connected now, so in the event of a big emergency while all of that's happening and the barriers blocking out Shigaraki, for example, they could all evacuate to the other campus and they'd all be gone from UA. So then they'd have to go to the other campus and they could also move back. So the defense capability of the school right now is very insane, and honestly, I don't know how Shigaraki would really break into UA right now without the use of some type of plot armor, since the introduction of all this different defense technology and how basically UA is impenetrable now is kind of crazy. So it'll be crazy if somehow Shigaraki is able to break in. Something weird then happens in the chapter right now where Tokiyami basically brings up how Nezu would have known that he would need all of this defense technology, and he says it's kind of weird that he would have had to start preparing all of this before the Shigaraki incidents. So he just wants to know why Nezu was already planning all of this. And Nezu says it was just his intuition, which it could be, since his quirk does give him a high-end intelligence. But it is kind of weird, and this comes back to a theory that people have been having, that Principal Nezu might be the traitor, which this does seem kind of weird that Horikoshi would even bring up this whole weird coincidence where he already started making the defense technology through Tokoyami. It's kind of weird that Horikoshi would even bring that up right now in the story, but it could just be that the principal thought of this beforehand, since it would make sense for his character. He's super smart, but that's just weird that Horikoshi would bring that up, and we should keep an eye on Principal Nezu for right now. Nezu then brings up how right now the entire society is one step away from lacking empathy and also lacking understanding of others, which is very true with how the mobs outside of the school right now, or inside of the school right now, are acting around Deku. And he's basically just telling them that Deku does belong there and that they should, help him out and try to make sure that he has somewhere safe to go, since he also deserves to be safe. But even though they all feel this way, we cut back to the angry mob that doesn't want Deku there at all. Cutting back to where the story was previously, and yeah, they don't want Deku there, they want him to leave. We then get some sad panels where we see Deku's mom is actually in the crowd somewhere, and she's telling Izuku that she told him it was dangerous, and I feel really bad for his mom throughout all of this because she just wanted to support her son, but the stuff that he's going through is just so dangerous for him. You can honestly imagine how she feels about this whole situation. We also see a panel of Eri and we see a panel of Koda, and it's pretty cool seeing all these characters back in the story for even just a little panel, but it's just sad the circumstances behind them showing back up. While all this is going on and the different civilians are basically voicing their frustrations with the Deku being there, we see President Mike try and calm everybody down and get them to, stop being riled up. But then Best Genus comes out and he starts to try and take the rap for everything and try to have everybody understand things from his point of view. He tells them that it was his proposal to have Deku come to the school. He starts explaining how their original plan was to have Deku bait out the villains, but in the end they were only able to capture a couple of them, and it wasn't as effective as they probably would have wanted it to be. He also talks about how Deku is also their greatest asset, and that if he was left outside this entire time, even right now, he would have definitely been killed at some point from just exhaustion and overworking himself and, being caught off guard by the villains, since what Deku was doing, he was basically running on empty the entire time, and he was getting no sleep, just going from fight to fight. And at a certain point, he was going to pass out, and he wasn't going to be able to come back up. He tells them that he just wants Deku to have a place to rest and recuperate and recover, so that he can also go back into the field and help out everybody fight the villains. But none of this matters to the crowd, to the mob. None of this matters at all, since we cut to them saying that this is literally all the heroes' faults, and that it's their fault that they're even in this mess right now. They want all of the heroes to accept every ounce of the burden, and they're saying that it's utter crap that the heroes are even attempting to make Deku out to be a good person, and all of, none of them care at all. And this also goes back to what Nezu was saying, how everybody's lacking empathy and understanding. Luckily though, the star of the chapter, Ochako, gets to have her big moment, and she uses her quirk to leap above the entire crowd and get to a high spot. And she pulls out a megaphone, and we get her sort of speech, how she wants to address the entire crowd about everything that's going on. She lets them know right off the bat that Deku does have a special power, and by using that special power, that's the reason why he even left UA, and he did that to go and protect everybody else. But she also mentions that because he left and was trying to do everything by himself, look at the state he's in, and we get to see a full body panel of Deku, and it's pretty crazy. His entire outfit is shredded to ribbons. His one shoe, it almost looks like claws, how messed up they are, and just he doesn't look in his best shape. We get another very sad panel of his mom just looking at the utter state of Deku right now, and man, you can only imagine how bad it must feel for his mother right now in this situation, seeing her son just looking like that, almost on the brink of exhaustion, and it's crazy. We also get to see a couple panels of the one really tall female that Deku saved a couple chapters ago. We see her coming out and saying that, oh, that's the boy that saved me, and she realizes that Deku was the one that had helped her out in that situation where the mob was honestly about to hurt her for no reason. She tells the crowd that even though Izuku has a special power, he's not a special person, basically saying that he's just like us. He can be overburdened, and he's not different from any of the people that are in the crowd right now. And she's basically just telling them to have some empathy, just think about things from his point of view for 1 second, and to stop just being scared or being overreactive to the situation. She wants them to really think about what Deku is probably going through right now. And this is going more so into the territory of what she's been trying to voice for a while now, which is nobody's really thinking about things from the hero's point of view and the hero's feelings. And they need to realize that heroes are just like the people in the crowds. Heroes are people also. Bakugo then says that even with this huge defense system in place, everybody in the crowd is still restless, and they don't want to even consider Deku being there, but he tells Deku that if there's something that he can't wipe, he can leave it to them to wipe. So if he can't do something, they'll cover for him to make up for that. The last two panels have Nezu looking up at Ochako and saying that the first step is always the hardest to do, but when you do take that step, it's going to lead to a true hero that can actually surpass All Might. And we get a really cool panel of Ochako, standing strong, and she doesn't care. She wants everybody to listen to her and realize what she has to say. And the chapter ends right then and there. This was honestly a very, very well put together chapter, and I'm really loving the focus on Ochako and her ideals, and how she wants everybody to just stop and think for a second about how people like Izuku and all the other heroes actually feel, and stop just thinking about themselves. Think about the heroes, since the heroes are also people. They keep acting like heroes aren't the same as them, but they really are. I really do love this chapter, though. I think it's definitely one of the best chapters that Horikoshi's put out, just for the fact that we really are getting this deep message from Ochako, and I love where these stories are going right now. And I honestly can't wait for the chapter next week, but let me know what you guys thought of the chapter, like the video, and subscribe if you like the video and you want to see more videos about My Hero and other different series, since I'm going to be reviewing other series going forward. But definitely like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'm out.